Hi, Frank Thacker here, and welcome to the Daily Peacemaker. Little story. To start with the story. It's a true story, and I got it to second or third hand, so I might not have all the details, but I got most of it. Anyway, so there were these two brothers. Sounds like it's going to be a story from the Bible. Once upon a time, there were these two brothers. No, seriously, there was two brothers, Bill and Ed. And Bill calls up Ed one day and said, "I got a surprise for you. Can I come over to the house and show you and tell you about it?" And Ed says, "Yeah, sure." So he comes over. Bill comes over, and he comes in and he goes, "Wow, look at this, man. 2 tickets to the Super Bowl." Ed goes, "Oh, and are you saying one of those is for me?" Yeah, man. We can hop on a plane, go on a few days early, get a place to stay, have a good time, hang out, go to the game. Ed says, "Well, I do have a bit of a fear of flying, as you know. And also, I don't have a lot of money." "What do you mean you don't have a lot of money? You got a good job. What are you like a mechanic, a plumber, right? And you make good money." And yeah, I do, but I got a kid. I got to get ready for college. He's going to college hopefully soon. And I got my buddies. I hang out, and oh, your buddies. Oh yeah, those guys you go out drinking beer and smoking and having a good time. Maybe if you stopped hanging with those ne'er-do-wells and saved some of that money that you waste on all your beer and drinking and cigarettes and stuff, you might have enough money to, do some things that are a little more enjoyable. Whoa, wait a minute. You're talking about my friends? They're not really good friends? What are you talking about? They are really good friends of mine. They stand up for you. They're not like your friends, You're kind of, I know you're a hotshot lawyer and you belong to these social clubs and you got friends there, and those friends would just as soon stab you in the back as do anything for you. "Oh, yeah? Well, my friends are pretty well-bred. They're very smart. They can actually read." I don't know if I could say that about some of your friends. They just hang out doing whatever. And, well, at least I have friends that will take care of me, and that's all I got to say about that. This maybe is not going to work. You want to come over here, give me a ticket, that's nice, but you don't respect me. What do you mean I don't respect you? Of course I respect you. No, you don't. You're always making fun of my wife and all the things that she has to do for me because I don't have enough time to do them and stuff like that. And, speaking of wives, your wife, you're so lucky. The only reason that you became a lawyer is because she pushed you through law school. And then you failed all those bar exams 2 or 3 times until she got someone in the back room and helped you pass it and stuff. Stuff like that. So then Bill said, this isn't going anywhere. I'm sick and tired of trying to help you out and do something with you. I'm just going to leave. And so Bill gets up to leave. And as he's getting up, he stops and he says, "See these 2 tickets? You're never going to see them again." And Ed goes, "Whew." He says, "And neither are you." He grabs the tickets out of Bill's hand and he rips them up. And of course, then Bill goes flying at him, and they get into this tussle, and I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think Ed's wife was there, or one of his kids, and they came. I don't know if they broke it up or they had to call the cops or whatever. But, the point of the story is that how quickly violence can move. So they're having this sort of ordinary conversation. They start to insult each other for who knows the reasons, and then they're in this full-fledged fight. So the point is that it's going to be really helpful if you can understand these degrees of violence and how easily things can get out of hand. You see it with road rage. You're driving along, and someone cuts you off, and you give them the finger or you blow the horn. They get in front of you and they slow down. You start blinking your lights. They pull over the side of the road, and of course you got to be, can't show that you're a weakling and stuff. You pull over, you get out of your car. Before you know it, there's a fight going on. Or in parking lots, crowded parking lot. You're driving around looking for a spot. You see a car pulling out, so you stop, put your blinker on. And as the car's pulling out, someone comes down from the other end and shoom, pulls into your spot. And of course, then you got to stop and get out of your car and say, that was. So it's so easy. The violence happens so quickly. And if you're not aware of it, you can get into some serious situations. So when people like myself go for nonviolent training and stuff, they always talk about these level of violence, and you can name them A, B, and C, 1, 2, and 3, or whatever you want. But usually, let's say you're having a discussion with someone about I don't know, gun violence. You're having a rational discussion. They're cornering their position about the Constitution, and you might be saying yours about, statistics about having better laws and stuff. And it's kind of almost like a dialogue. You're trying to listen and ask questions and stuff, and it's fairly rational. So you talk about that, but at some point, one of the people might say, "Well, all you do is talk about statistics and articles you've read and research and stuff," and the other person says, "Well, yeah, at least people on my side know how to read. I don't know about you guys over there. Maybe you could read the Constitution. I don't know." If you can even find a copy of it, because you guys don't probably know where the library is, and boom, it starts to escalate. It's moved from this sort of rational level to one where the emotions start coming into play, and you start castigating each other and challenging each other and throwing feelings and calling each other names and, maybe swearing at each other. And if I think that's the level that if you can't stop at that level and either end it there or move it back down, then it's going to go to a third level where there's really some serious violence. Maybe people start throwing things, maybe they push each other around or whatever. So at that second level, you can try to say, whoa, wait a minute, this is getting a little bit out of hand. Let's either maybe end it here or, let's come back to this another time, or maybe we could go back to what we were really talking about, the pluses and minuses of gun control. And so, in order to do that, you have to be tuned into this whole thing. Most people don't think when they get into a discussion that it will ever escalate to some real physical violence. They have no concept of that in their mind. They're not thinking as they're talking on a rational, that first level, that, well, maybe let's not get this out of hand. And when they go to that second level where the emotions start coming in and you start calling each other names, they're not thinking, maybe this will turn into something really violent. I better stop this. They don't think that. So you have to develop that framework in any discussion you have. And except being able to tune into yourself, like, what are you feeling, Are you starting to throw names at this person? Are you feeling some anger coming up within you? And then what do you do at that level? Like I said, you can, say, well, let's not go too much further with this, maybe come back and talk to it. Or you can even do something like, look at your watch and say, whoa, I just realized I got an appointment in 10 minutes. Let's stop here and come back to this, and because I got to go. Or your phone, you should pull out your phone. So my phone is vibrating. Let me check this call because I'm expecting something from my doctor. So there's tons of things you can do, and you get more and more skilled at it as you reflect on this notion that violence can really escalate on everyday arguments and discussions turns into something violent, and then something into really, really violent. So that's the point. So basically, violence is going to escalate unless you do something about it. When you get into a discussion with someone, this whole idea that people have of at family gatherings, can't talk about religion, can't talk about politics. That actually, it's sad in a way that you can't do that, but actually it's sometimes a good idea, because especially in family gatherings, these things can really explode. So those are good things to keep in mind. And there's another added element that maybe I'll talk about next time, where you are maybe not in a discussion. Maybe you're at a party and you see these two people having a discussion, and you can sense that it's beginning to escalate a little bit. So then, should you intervene there or not? So that we'll talk a little bit more about that the next time. So anyway, so bottom line, keep this in mind, and be wise when you get into these discussions, and aware that they can quickly get out of hand, and have the skills to know what to do as it escalates. So with that in mind, I will end there. Always good to be with you, and may we all walk in harmony with the earth and each other. All right, take care.